Our power grids are targeted by hackers. The energy supply is in danger.
Anything that is connected to anything can always be manipulated or is vulnerable in some way.
Data warriors turn ones and zeros into weapons.
This can cost human lives. The whole society can be paralyzed today.
It is a fight against invisible opponents from the digital world.
Since internet, we've opened the doors also for the evil world.
NASA, Microsoft and PayPal. This hacker has cracked the IT networks of the big companies. His motto, no system is safe. Criminal hackers work in secret. But hackers with good intentions, so-called white hats, reveal themselves. They uncover security gaps and report them. Benjamin Kunzmairi is one of them, and we are allowed to accompany him with our camera on his new assignment. The target of the attack is a municipal utility in Rhineland-Palatinate. The hacker sends a so-called phishing email, a fake email with dangerous content. It is indistinguishable from a message from the management.
Now we'll wait until one of the employees clicks on these links and then discloses information, or continues to follow on these pages and then enters his passwords or whatever. Okay, we already had the first one after a few minutes. That's the first employee who clicked on this link. That was just a few seconds after we sent the email.
The quick success is no coincidence. Phishing mails are regarded a powerful weapon in the hacker world.
For example, I can attack his workplace directly. I now also have his internal email address, and of course I also have further information, such as what kind of system or which browser does the person use.
Kunzmairi will not misuse this knowledge, but his calculation worked out. He doesn't attack the power grid directly, but attacks the weakest link in the chain, the employee.
Computers do what we tell them to do. Of course, people still act with a certain amount of leeway. This means that we decide for ourselves. We sometimes decide according to factors that other people can't easily recognize. And that's exactly why humans will always remain a part of this vulnerability problem.
The IT professional suspects further security holes and prepares the next stage of the attack. Hackers today have an easier job than 20 years ago. Back then, few large coal and nuclear power plants supplied all of Germany with electricity. They are also vulnerable, but the risk of hacker attacks is growing due to the nationwide supply of renewable energies. The plants must be intelligently controlled and communicate with each other. However, this data exchange can be hacked. So, the energy revolution is also making our power grid more vulnerable. In the new energy world, wind turbines are under the control of mouse clicks. To control the wind turbines remotely, huge rotors are networked with the internet. A connection with pitfalls. The White Hat hackers, Sebastian Neef and Tim Philipp Schäfers, are aware of this. The computer science students advise companies from the energy sector on a voluntary basis. They are currently looking for gaps in wind turbine control systems.
Here we see one of these web pages of the control systems. I found an IP address by chance, opened it and ended up on this system. And as you can see here on the left, we get all the information. For example, the amount of megawatt hours that have already been produced by this wind turbine.
Many wind farm operators do not invest enough money in IT security. Their systems are poorly protected.
Here, for example, you can now see that this is obviously an outdated web server version, and they even use Windows 2000. Just think about it. Usernames and passwords are transferred unencrypted, so that people standing between the administrator and the wind turbine can read along the logging data.
The individual wind turbines in a wind farm are closely networked. This can increase the impact of the attacks.
Connection is not secure.
People with a bad intention can search for weak spots in this system. And because they can be reached from virtually anywhere, then attack from anywhere and paralyze the systems.
In 2018, more than 150 cyber attacks on critical infrastructures were reported in Germany. The number of unreported cases is even higher.
What's frightening is that we're all somehow dependent on it. And sometimes these IT systems, which tend to run in the background, are handled so badly. This is our basic security or supply of whole communities or cities. And it's very frightening to see that they're in such a desolate state.
While many wind farms are less protected than an email account, other critical infrastructures have become more secure through the work of the white hats. The hackers also found what they were looking for on several control websites of sewage works and hydropower stations. Usernames were already filled in and identical with the password. Anyone could have taken control.
For example, in Bavaria, there were hydropower stations where we could get access up to the pumping stations, which are among the most sensitive systems that exist in such hydropower stations. If attackers approach this with malicious interests, they're in a position to shut down the water supply to entire communities.
The good hackers want to prevent such attacks and protect our supply networks. The white hats are internationally networked and exchange information with each other. Dutch hacker Willem Westerhof has discovered dangerous weak points, especially in solar systems. Even a blackout would have been possible.
For me, it's really fun, like, well, not really hacking, but looking into the security of systems and like finding this bug and then be like, oh my God, what did they do there?
But with the vulnerabilities being introduced in these power grids, we're coming to the point where a group of dedicated individuals can just hack something and have a massive impact. In all fairness, if I hadn't disclosed it and just went to, well, let's call it some foreign nation to sell this, I would have probably cashed out and had never had to work a day in my life.
So I think it's a very important point that also computer scientists have kind of an ethic where they know, okay, I must report those issues, or you also have to look for those issues. I mean, if we don't look for those issues, other bad guys might find them and exploit them.
German municipal utilities have already had experiences with such bad guys. Digitization makes them vulnerable. Eberhard Oehler knows what such an attack feels like. Being the head of Ettlingen's municipal utilities, he had commissioned the hacker himself, a test with consequences.
I was really shocked because I wouldn't have thought it possible at that speed and depth. He ran routines and hacked the first passwords after 26 minutes. And so he found himself in the technical heart of Ettlingen's municipal utilities and could have caused a lot of mischief.
For security reasons, Oehler has masked his smartphone camera since the digital break-in 5 years ago. The entire company has become cautious.
That's our security area. I can't get into it alone, even as the boss. I have to rely on my colleagues.
Back then, the hacker penetrated the technical heart of the municipal utilities via an office printer.
He'd identified the circuit breakers in these 20 kV systems, armed them, and would have been able to switch off Ettlingen by pressing the enter button.
The IT, that is, the information technology, was so susceptible that the hacker could read the entire data traffic. After a few hours, the municipal utilities were cracked.
The problem is that if someone knows how to penetrate Ettlingen's municipal utilities, this can also be duplicated for all other municipal utilities. The reason is that the control technology, as we have it, is installed about 270 to 300 times in Germany. This means that municipal utilities like in Ettlingen can be found from Flensburg to Berchtesgaden.
The electricity and water supply for more than 40,000 households in Ettlingen is controlled via the internet now. Cyber attacks were not an issue when Oehler began his career in the energy industry more than 30 years ago.
We used to move within our own world, also as far as control technology was concerned. But we've had the internet for 20 years, and when we connected control technology to the internet, that's when the problem started.
Benjamin Kunzmairi enters another stage of his attack on the municipal utilities. Apart from computers, he also uses a lot of hacker tools for his attacks.
You can imagine it like a lockpick. If I want to get into all kinds of doors, I need all kinds of keys. And that's just like it is in the electronic sector. If I want to get into all kinds of areas, I have to have copied all kinds of unique card systems in some way, so that I can work on them. As for the equipment, I'd say that we're not far away from where the black hats are. But from a moral point of view, we're on the other side.
On the internet, the white hat is looking for new ways to attack his client, the Stadtwerke Bad Kreuznach. In the process, he is repeatedly competing with the black hats for the next digital security hole. In the hands of criminal hackers, they become weapons.
It's relatively easy to get at such security holes. Here, for example, we have a list of weak spots. It shows which systems are affected. Up here, for example, Windows 8 operating system. On the white market, on which we are at present, the holes are forwarded directly to the manufacturers. But of course, there's also a black market, where security holes are offered for up to €1 million. Basically, there's also the possibility to attack certain industrial plants for 20 or 30,000 euros.
Every second, thousands of viruses and Trojans search for innocent victims. This real-time map shows the countless hacker attacks on German companies. According to the German Federal Office for Information Security, BSI, every third company was affected in 2018. The attackers are particularly targeting the growing digitization of the energy sector.
In my opinion, the energy industry has moved more into focus these days due to the topic. And I think that this industry, as well as any other industry, is permanently bombarded with attacks.
Companies can report attacks to the BSI. From a certain company size on, they even have to. However, the reporting obligation only applies to suppliers of large cities such as Cologne. Small municipal utilities are excluded.
That's why it's important that we also make rapid progress with the IT Security Act 2.0, where you can also lay down certain security criteria even for smaller cities, and where you can also define what's a critical infrastructure.
The current law obviously does not suffice to protect the power grids permanently against hackers. According to BSI, the attacks have reached a new quality. The future law is supposed to make the defense more effective. But there are great doubts in the energy industry whether it does justice to the threat situation. Events in Ukraine show what unsecured digitization can lead to. Hackers used fake emails to hijack the control electronics of 3 energy companies and switched off electricity for 250,000 people. It was the world's first blackout caused by hackers. Under suspicion, secret services of foreign states. The incidents that occurred a few years ago are still alarming German IT experts today.
Ultimately, the incidents in Ukraine show that there are attackers or groups of attackers who possess the logistical and methodological capabilities of such attacks and who actually put them into practice. This was indeed a new dimension for the energy sector. And we should not assume that this is impossible in Germany. Our electricity grids are not invulnerable either.
Florian Hacke is head of security at Innogy. Germany's largest electricity network operator. He's fighting against invisible opponents. The more sophisticated the attack, the better the camouflage of the hackers.
In individual cases where it's more about criminal groups, the security authorities get hold of individual perpetrators. In that case, one knows what the motive was. But state-controlled attacks are executed, financed and veiled so well that there might be indications to whom this can be attributed. But clear evidence on this is usually not found.
At the corporate headquarters in Essen, around 130 specialists fend off attacks on the power grid. They face serious threats up to 40 times a year. Just like them, the evil hackers work 24/7. Everyone is a potential target, whether board member or office worker.
The employee is the one who either clicks on a link from an unknown sender and thus lets an attack take place, or is sensitized and acts correctly from the outset. But even if an attack takes place, the employee is ultimately the decisive criterion in terms of speed and intelligence in order to recognize a cyber attack and initiate the right defensive measures.
An energy giant under fire. Security chief hacker is getting prepared. In the future, the hacker defense is to be trained under real conditions, as real as possible. For this purpose, the energy company is building a training center for cybersecurity. A fitness studio for IT departments. The blueprint for this is hidden behind these walls, a cyber fighting arena. It is the house of the data warriors. Secret trainings for large corporations take place here. Milan Balasik is the head of the data army. He has customers from all over the world. His business is internet warfare, hackers, enemy forces, and spies.
Sometimes customers panic. This is usually the first reaction. Switch everything off and do nothing. Of course, that's not the best approach.
Balasik's hackers simulate every conceivable attack. This is supposed to enable customers to defend themselves better in an emergency. His team is currently preparing a new training course for an energy company. The customer's IT systems will be reproduced true to the original. Models of the control systems are also available.
It's all like in real life. Everything's in it. Please don't touch it. Everything needs energy. Without energy, everything is gone. This can even cost human lives, not just money. The whole society can be paralyzed today without energy. That's why it's such an important goal.
The virtual battlefield is divided into a blue and a red team. The blue one consists of the customer's IT specialists. Balasik's hacker army, the red team, sits in the basement of the villa, entrenched behind thick doors.
This is a fight between the attacker and the defender. People are responsible for keeping the plant running, for saving lives, just like in war. This scenario can occur.
When Balasik talks about the hacker threat, you believe every word he says. He was a hacker himself decades ago, a good one, he says. Today, Balasik prepares his customers for the virtual fight.
A soldier can't only get his hands on a rifle once the war has started. He has to work and train with the rifle and his troops. And that's what they're doing.
The blue team goes about its usual work until the red team fires at Balasik's command from all data lines. Stress and pressure, and then the hacker battle is fought.
That's what it looks like in the end, if you didn't do anything about the attack or couldn't do anything about it. He can't control anything. He can no longer see his control screen. Can only look sadly at what's happening in the system, but can no longer influence it.
The digitization of the power grids continues, and their protection is getting more and more complicated. Because not only the power grid is becoming digital, but also the meters. The new intelligent electricity meters are called smart meter gateways, an indispensable component of the energy revolution. The devices collect data in order to better coordinate the fluctuating supply of renewable energies. They are an attractive target for hacker attacks. This is why manufacturers are subject to high security requirements.
Development where you are here is the so-called secure development environment. In other words, it's very strongly regulated who of our employees is allowed to enter here at all. We have a special security system. Our employees themselves are also checked on the basis of police clearance certificates.
Only 8 companies in Germany are allowed to produce the gateways. By 2032, 40 million German households are to be equipped with smart meters. The security requirements for production, delivery and storage in Germany are the highest in the world.
All this must be protected. There are complex regulations on how to proceed. The ultimate goal is to ensure that there is no possibility of manipulating devices or smuggling in manipulated devices in any way. That's why we attach importance to a completely closed and secure logistics chain.
As in Ettlingen, the approval of smart meter gateways has been on the minds of manufacturers and municipal utilities for years. The BSI is constantly tightening up the requirements and worries about the security of the devices. Because the smart world of electricity is new territory in Germany.
The entire infrastructure and the knowledge hasn't existed. We have to acquire that from scratch. This profession of the smart meter gateway administrator doesn't exist yet.
Smart meter gateways can not only count electricity, but also control systems such as solar modules and thus intervene directly in the power supply. For IT experts, the devices are a gateway for hackers and they warn against possible blackouts. Eberhard Oehler has also lost faith in 100% security.
If you officially say this now, you'll probably get the answer, no. We are so secure it's not possible. That only makes me smile. We're only secure depending on the effort of a hacker. If the hacker goes to a lot of trouble, we will no longer be secure at all.
Benjamin Kunz-Meiri approaches his destination, the headquarters of the Bad Kreuznach municipal utility. The hacker is busy. The white hat industry is booming. Worldwide expenditure on IT security is expected to rise to more than $120 billion this year. From now on, Kunz-Meiri is fighting with his sights open.
Of course, one tries to get access to the network. That is, physical access, from which one can reach certain points in the network, and then search for other vulnerabilities or points of attack.
Kunz-Meiri's customers let themselves be attacked because they have a serious problem. The manufacturers who supply them with control systems or security software do not have to report vulnerabilities.
After all, there is no digital police that is checking the networks and always looks who wants good and who wants bad. It's not like in real life. That's why we, as a company, have to deal more and more with IT security and make sure ourselves that those who want evil don't get in. It's ultimately the image of the Wild West. We have to make our hotel or our saloon so safe that those who've already drawn the gun won't even get in.
For the municipal utilities in Bad Kreuznach, the moment of truth has come. How secure are they really? Benjamin Kunz-Meiri acts as a visitor, enters the building. His goal is an unprotected network socket. He uses a remote meeting room from where he tries to penetrate the utilities office network. He quickly discovers weak points. Several routers and printers are unsecure.
I've reached the point where I could say, I'm taking these 5 machines, attack them and take over their operation. Then they're mine. Then I can check what I can do from these systems now. Do I have higher authorizations? Can they communicate with the network? And at some point I'll get what I need. So theoretically, we could easily attack the network.
His mission is accomplished. The test is finished. Kunz Mayri explains that there are certain patterns. Again and again, there are printers or network sockets in meeting rooms that pose a danger.
We've already been so far that we could have shut down certain heating basins and turn off the lights of a district for 10 minutes.
An alarming result for Christoph Naht, the head of the municipal utilities. His business would have been vulnerable in an emergency. Criminal hackers could have done massive damage to the energy provider via phishing emails and unprotected office equipment.
I think it's very positive that we've faced up to this. The next steps will be multi-layered. One is, of course, that we continue to work hard on the topic of training and sensitizing employees. The other step is that we also work through the topic successfully, where there are possible open doors and where open doors have been found.
In Ettlingen too, Eberhard Oehler tirelessly tries to close all doors. According to the hacker test, the small municipal utility has invested around €500,000 in security. The IT department has been expanded and all employees are regularly trained to stand up to the hackers. Gräfinger discovered 25 employees who entered their password. That's 21%.
That's a frightening amount. This also shows, however, that we still have a lot to do, and it confirms once again that we as employees are the biggest risk.
Hacker attacks cause sleepless nights in the energy industry. Electricity managers like Eberhard Oehler demand more backing from politicians. Software manufacturers also have to disclose their weak points. Time is pressing.
The subject of IT security is an ongoing process that we must continuously accompany and develop, both in our private lives and in the area of entrepreneurs. The technologies on the positive side continue to evolve, but we must not believe that the evil hackers who are up to something will not evolve.
The blackout remains a real danger. The risks can only be minimized. 100% security will never exist.